Okay, so you know you don't want to take the photo and you know you want to find the best photo possible. And realistically, you want to use Canva because it's a tool that you're comfortable with. But how do you find the best photos for you in Canva? That's what we're talking about today in today's video. In case you're new here, hi, I'm Robyn from Robyn O'Brien Photography and Robyn's Academy, and I teach people how to create photos that they love and adore, that they're proud to share, because the reality is we don't always have time to do all of these things. And just because you're not creating the photos and taking it yourself doesn't mean that you can't use your photography skills to find the best possible one out there. When it comes to finding a good stock photo, and you're scrolling through, and again, it doesn't matter whether you're using Canva or a different tool, okay? I personally like Canva. I think they have a great amount of things in there. I think it's definitely worth the money. It makes my life a lot easier, and even as a professional photographer, could I take the photo? Yes. Do I always have time to set up all of that beautifulness and do all of it for every single shot? No, I don't have time. And like many of you out there, I don't think you want to necessarily take every single photo, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with using stock photos out there as long as you're using the right one. One of the things I kind of wanted to talk to you about today was, what should we be looking for when you're actually going and you're scrolling down the something like 3 million that they now have? How do you know what you're looking for? Now, obviously, we all type a word into the search bar, but how do you then pick it? Okay, and I think this is a really important thing, and I think a lot of the time people automatically go with trying to find it by it jumping out at them and going, yes, that's the one, but why is that the one? Okay, so I kind of wanted to talk through how I pick photos in Canva and the thought process behind it, because I think a lot of people either subconsciously do this and don't realise they're doing it. But as soon as you realise that this is how to do it in Canva, how to make sure you get the best of the best out of Canva or any stock photos out there that's available, you kind of then can start doing it a bit more purposefully, and you kind of save so much time by being a bit picky about what you kind of put into it. So I think the real thing you need to go is, why do you want an image? Really, really simple, basic question. You know that whether you're going to be using it for Instagram or whether you're going to be using it for your blog, your website, whether you use, it doesn't really matter what you're using it for. You need to ask, what is the goal? Now, personally, for me, if you're doing product photography and you're looking to be selling something, you really should take your own photo, okay? I can't sit here and say it's okay to put this up if it's not the original thing. So if you are interested in product photography, then you need to check out this video, okay? Because it'll get you started and you'll be fine, okay? Real fundamental basics. However, if you are looking for something a bit more mainstream, so let's say you're doing a recipe and you want to do a list of cupcake ideas for a kid's birthday party or something like that, okay? And you want to be able to show the different styles out there, then I don't think you necessarily need to sit there and bake every single different type of cupcake, get all the different types of frosting and ingredients and props and all the rest of it, and take all the individual things you do. I think you can be sensible about how you do it, but you've got to know what you're looking for in the process. Does that make sense? So what is the goal? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to show? If it's an individual thing, so like I said, the cupcakes, then you're going to need a particular style. So that's where your extra keywords come into it, and you might then want to think about what aspect ratio you want to use and things like this. So you kind of get into the nitty gritty, but we'll go through some examples after. The second thing that you kind of going to want to do, and this is one of the first things I teach my one-on-one clients, is that you need to figure out a style. Now, I'm not saying every single thing needs to be a certain theme and blah, blah, blah. No, because it'll look awful, okay? Everything will look the same and it gets really repetitive and it becomes a bit redundant, okay? What I'm saying is you need to get a fundamental style of what you like, because I can guarantee when you're going through Canva, you will pick out something you like, okay? And if you like it, you kind of get into a rhythm. So if you like light and airy photos, that's fine. That's not a problem. You can get many different types of light and airy photos out there with different compositions, with different, backlighting, side lighting and all the rest of it. But you need to really narrow it down to a particular style to get a cohesive feel for things. Now, for a lot of people, this comes naturally once they get into a rhythm of things. but you have to find out what else. I like rich colours, okay? I can do rich colours in dark, I can do them in light and airy, I can do them in pretty much any scenario, but I like it to have a bit of a punch to it, basically. That's my personal preference. And those are the ones that stand out to me when I'm going through the feed. Now, the advantage you've got in using something like Canva or these stock images is you can already tell what stands out in the feed, because as you're scrolling, it will need to stand out in that feed for you. So that's the first thing. So from a marketing point of view, from the, you know, digital marketing and being able to make sure you do this on a visual side, is you will already have those standing out for you. So that's brilliant, okay? But if you narrow those things down, what's the story you're trying to tell? If you're going to go back to the cupcakes one, I'll show you exactly step by step what I mean. If you're going for the cupcakes, do you want to show the finished thing? Do you want to show it as a party thing? Do you want to show it as the making and the process of it? What is the individual photos? And if you haven't checked out my 5 must-have photos, you really should go check that out. It's completely free, and totally worth your time of the different types of photos that you can use. Okay. And then there is an aspect of looking at the visual marketing of these things. So there are certain compositions, leading lines, and directions. There's certain principles out there that you can use to guide people in their reading of your blog, or to do with your description, or focusing on something. And those are the things that you can look for in a photo. So let's just jump in into a couple of examples, because the reality is you can't just write cupcakes into and have all of them be perfect. Okay, so we're just going to jump into Canva, because like I said, that is my preference. I like the ones they have in there. I like the fact that I have just a monthly fee and I haven't got to worry about individuals. I like the fact they have certain licenses that I buy to what I need. It works for me. Make sure you check these things out. Okay, so really simply, the first place we're obviously going to start is in photos. And the first thing I would always say to you is think about your aspect ratio. If you know that you want square, go square. If you know that you want vertical because you want to use it in a story, or you want to use it on, you're aiming for more of a mobile platform, go vertical. If you want to go horizontal because you're thinking more desktop or even on here, then you can obviously do so. But that's the first place I kind of start, is which ratio am I going to want, because most of these are already cropped down and you're going to struggle to crop them down even further if the aspect ratio is off. So I'm going to pick a square for this one, because this is going to be for an Instagram post, and I also like to use square on my blog because I can repurpose it to things like Pinterest and things like that. So we're literally just going to type in cupcakes and see what comes up. And as you can see, it's a multitude of different things. This isn't helpful, okay? This is like, well, how do I know what I want? Okay, so let's take it to the next step. This is going to be to do with girls. I don't normally do girls, so I'm going to do girls for one. So I want purple. Let's do purple. I want purple cupcake with sparkler, because it's to do with the what's it. And that kind of helps me bring these things down. Now, once again, we then get into the feel of things. Feels tend to have a bit of a different thing. So you can kind of have, do I want a single cupcake? A single would be a really good word here if I wanted one on its own. If I wanted more than one, then obviously I could do more than one. You need to be thinking about different things. I actually quite like this one. This is my first one that kind of jumps out at me. And I think, okay, it's got pretty much everything that I need. It's not technically purple, but it gives me a general feel of the kind of thing that I like. But then you kind of have to like narrow down. But can you see how like I didn't put in one word, I put in multiple words. I've already put my ratio on, and I actually want this to have quite kind of a dark feeling to it. So I'm going to put in a complementary colour to see how that goes. And we've only really got the one so far, because some of the others, you always get the random stuff in between, but don't worry about that. Scrolling down. I like the cupcakes with the different bits in for snacks. That's cool. It's got a good composition. And you might find that they don't particularly have much. And then you'll need to tweak it. So, okay, so clearly pink might be easier. So let's try pink. I think it's the grey that's throwing us off. Let's try with a white background. And then I personally sometimes like to go pro only because I find it filters down the quality of it. I'm not saying the free stuff isn't good enough, but I just find it to be better, if I'm honest. You get some of the much better ones coming through. So I don't have one with a sparkler, but I do have one with a candle, which I like. So I'm just going to put another page in here so that you can kind of get the general gist of the different types of the ones that we've got going. And then you see, I find that actually, I think is that the same? Yeah, it's the same. They put it in twice. The other thing you can do, if there's something you definitely want, you can put it in quotation marks, and it should. Let's try clearing colour. Let's see if that makes it better. Yeah, we're still coming back to the original one. I haven't got many with sparklers. I'm quite surprised by that. You have obviously got the trio. And the advantage of once you've got a few going is you can just kind of go through them. That's still the best one, and it was right at the beginning because I put all those extra words in, and I think that's the real key. Is you kind of got to have a different feel for it. Let's do a different example to see what would come up for. Let's do book. Okay, as you can see, lots of different types of random stock. They feel very stocky, if I'm honest. There, you've got lots of like dodgy backgrounds and whatnot. They don't feel good. So then you got to think, okay, well, what's the story behind it? What am I actually aiming for? Okay, so this is going to be a blog post, or what's it about? Reading up on the best tips and tricks of the industry. So let's just say, okay, so I actually want woman reading book. We're getting better. We've still got those two filters in place because filters will continue. I'm going to clear white just for a minute to see what it brings up differently. We're going to have a little bit of a scroll. So I quite like that one. That's nice if you're trying to do the whole mum stuff. But we wanted something along the lines of somebody trying to enhance their reading and learning from it. So you almost show it. She's too happy. You almost want, nobody should be that happy while they're reading. It's a bit better. And as you scroll down, things will stand out for you. I don't want anybody overly smiling. This is a bit more realistic. Somebody sat down reading and studying. Okay, so can you see how that differs? And we haven't really changed much. But then I might want a stack of books. Again, I don't like the ones. I actually quite like that one, but it's quite oldie books. That's quite nice if you wanted to talk about certain books, but you didn't obviously want the what's it? So if you want to do my favorite 5 books, then that would be a really nice pose if you want to attempt to replicate it yourself, or whether you wanted to just use this one because it's just easier. Because at least, you know, it's like her favourite, she's happy, she's got them. You've got to think about the story behind it, you see. Don't like any of those. Okay, these are quite. don't like that one. I do recommend bringing them across sometimes, because seeing them out isolated can help decide whether it's the right photo or not. And I do think these kind of what's it work. So so we've got stack of books and we've got woman reading. So there's two different stories and compositions. And then I think we should try a different one of stack of books. We've got reading. What else could we do? Strangely, that one's kind of jumping out. Let's put it next. If you wanted to do something like best books for indoor plants or best books for the office. What else could we do? And this is the other thing, use what's there. Books. We could do don't be afraid to kind of think outside the box. For those that wanted to do like business books or blogging books, you could do stack of books with a laptop. There you go. And you could almost do like leading to success, 5 books to help you to get them, because you've got that kind of arrow and you can put a title on the other side. You know, there's lots of different ways that you can use this. You need to think about the composition. I like that because of the ladder of success. Books to help you become more successful. There's a subliminal message there that would work with it, and that's the kind of thing you kind of have to get your head around, is what do you want it to say, what do you want it to show, and then you have to come up with these different words to kind of narrow it down, because otherwise you just end up with books and you end up with really generic things that people aren't things. You've got to narrow those things down. A bit like with SEO, when we narrow down to those long keywords, you've got to think about it from that perspective. On images, people always say to me, your images are really different. They don't look like generic Canva ones, even though I'm just using Canva images. And it's like, well, that's because I'm very intentional about the image that I choose. You know, I think about this, it's simple. It's not overwhelming. There's no distractions. You've got good compositions. There's a good story. There's good lighting. You know, from a technical point of view, there's nothing wrong with this whatsoever. But it tells the story that I'm trying to tell, and that's the important bit, the intention behind it. We're going to do one more just so that I can kind of feel good about it. And well, let's carry on with the blogging. Okay, sometimes you get these categories where it's like, well, it's not a book and it's not a product and it's not cake and it's not jewelry. I'm trying to give a concept behind it, and they can be some of the hardest ones to kind of get images for, and you don't always need many images to kind of show your point. Okay, so if we go for something like blogging, because it's an awful big topic. So if you like put blogging, you get a lot of like these flat lays and things like this. That's quite a generic situation. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're beautiful, and if they fit your colour scheme and you can kind of tweak things, and you can do scene creators. Scene creators are amazing to get on brand things for things like this. But it's also like, you want to talk about like, I want to show the reality of blogging, not the pretty Instagram version of blogging, but the actual reality of trying to work. So I actually don't mind this one here because the overhead, yeah, it's quite a pretty one, and I don't particularly like how big she's got the eyebrow, but at least she's planning and she's working through some stuff, so that's not too bad. But I kind of want to think about the actual reality of the truth. So you kind of want somebody, it's not too bad. I still think we can do better than that. I think that's quite truthful. The stuff around her, she's trying to fit some bits in, she's thinking about stuff. I quite like that one. That one stands out for me as blogging. So what words could I put with this? Messy mum. Laptop. Let's see if we can find something that kind of fits what we want it to be. Okay, so I think that's quite a reality of trying to blog and getting frustrated, giggling, but getting frustrated with your kid. Coming down, coming down, coming down, coming down. So you get a lot of these kind of overlay things, hands on, blah, blah, blah. These are quite generic. Yeah. I don't mind that, blogging on the go. I'm not quite sure it tells exactly the story I want it to tell. Let's take blogging out. Messy mom, laptop, sofa. I always think about just curling up on the sofa and cracking on for a bit. For me, that's the epitome. Me on the sofa with my feet up, cracking on with stuff. Hair's up in a ponytail, I don't look the best. You know, that is the epitome of me knocking out a blog post. Definitely, 100%. So if you kind of got to think about what you want it to say, and then put the words into Canva to get the best. Now, I've put together a little thing for you so that if you have a particular thing that you're thinking that you would particularly like and the keywords that kind of help, I've done you a little freebie. Make sure you check those out down below. Canva's free. There's some amazing things out there that you can do with Canva, but you need to be mindful about the words that you use and how you use them, okay? Take it to the next level. If you've got any tips and tricks on finding some really cool things in Canva, I'd love to hear from you. Drop them in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe.